All right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. So good to see you and be with you for another Shabbos evening. I'll go ahead and share our Siddur, and we'll read responsively by paragraph. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of wonder, day of peace. We'll begin with candle lighting, and I will invite Farima to lead our reading and light the Shabbat candles on her screen.
Okay, we have to move now so everybody could see. Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, I did unmute.
No, you aren't. We can hear you, Farima.
Oh, it says unmute to start speaking. Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light.
I'll see you Monday then.
Light to all who behold us. As these brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lehalnikneh shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Farima.
Thank you.
We'll continue with our Kiddush, and I'll invite Robert to lead us in our reading.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator, fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctify us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage, as a reminder of the work of creation. What's that? Okay. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us the holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon inhilanu zikaron למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, הבנו וחטא ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
Amen. L'chaim. We continue Kabbalat Shabbat, greeting Shabbat, words of Lechadodi, imagining Shabbat as a beloved who we haven't seen, and we're so very excited that our beloved has returned to us once again.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמע וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד, שמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתפילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת מכוונך, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נפתוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בורא מיורי, אורי, אורי שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Continue with our call to worship, our Baruch Hu, rising in body or in spirit.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Barechu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch, Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach, le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges their stars in the heavenly courses according to your plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. We move from this prayer, this evening prayer, recognizing the cycle, the endless cycle and miracles of creation. And then we move to yet another theme that is everlasting, Ahavat Olam, a great everlasting love in our world that continues to spin day after day after day. Even with uncertainties, one thing that is ever present, that there's always a potential for in our world, is love.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amacha avta, Torah mi מצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו וקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי חיים חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה.
We continue with our Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
I mentioned, so with our reading or singing of Ahavat Olam, that we have this theme of everlasting love. And now we come to our V'ahavta, a commandment for us, and you should love, you must love. And I don't think it's just a coincidence that our Shema is surrounded by these two prayers with messages of love. Our Shema, sometimes called the watchword of our faith, one of the most important texts, important prayers that we have as a people. And what immediately surrounds it? This notion, this intention of love. And so we think of our own love, our capacity to share our love with the divine and with everyone else in our lives. We chant V'ahavta.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzvacha hayom al levavecha. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Continue with our song.
Mi kamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha neidar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, malechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeli.
Our Hashkivenu prayer, our prayer specifically in the evening when darkness descends on our world, when the light stops shining in through our window. Night brings uncertainty, and it also brings with it the gift of Shabbat. On this Shabbat and always, we pray that we may have a shelter of peace. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over all of Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmat tzitenu uvoinu L'chaim shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Our Vishamru, our iconic prayer for this day of Shabbat. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, the people of Israel, or the children of Israel, shall keep Shabbat. The root of this word, Vishamru, shomer, keeping. And this is the same root in Hebrew. Most words have a 3-letter root that talks about their base meaning. And this root also is one of safety. A shomer is a guard, someone who protects. And so not only do we as a people get to observe Shabbat, but Shabbat becomes something that protects us, that gives us a little bit of shelter, a little bit of a foundation to stand up to the rest of this world, the world around us, a time to step back, to take care of ourselves. So many deep meanings in keeping Shabbat, so much potential for us, however we practice Shabbat. There's always so much potential of what we can personally take out of it. How can we step back and make these next 24 hours meaningful? How can we use them as a project to guard and take care of and bolster ourselves? Vishamru.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. B'ni uvin b'nei Yisrael oti בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת.
We continue our Amidah, rising in body or in spirit.
Adonai, Sephatai Tiftach u'fi Tehillatech. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohe Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohe Avraham, Elohe Yitzchak v'Elohe Yaakov, Elohe Sarah, Elohe Rivka, Elohe Rachel v'Elohe Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגין. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגין אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח מוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצליח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Those who are standing can be seated. A prayer for the holiness of this day of Shabbat we'll read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and to do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We come to the next prayer in our Shabbat Amidah, our Hoda'ah, or our prayer for gratitude. And so one of the beautiful blessings of being in community is that we get to share the good things in our lives so that we can all be grateful for the blessings that we have in our community. So if there's anything that you are particularly grateful for this evening that you would like to express, I would invite you, you can unmute, you can use the raise hand button like Linda is doing perfectly. You can also type in the chat or just unmute and we will find our way to you. So Linda.
Yay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I am extremely grateful for my daughter, as I always say, for good health, family, and friends. And particularly this week, I resumed a couple of activities that I haven't done in the last, I think, 8 or 9 weeks, because I really have been staying home by myself most of the time. So I'm very grateful for that, and to be, you know, slowly but surely trying to get some normalcy back into my life.
Thanks, Linda. Susan.
Hi, everyone. I am extremely grateful for friends who love to cook and are willing to share their delicious dishes with me. So thank you to everyone, the soups, the main dishes, the appetizers, the desserts. You are delightful and delicious. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Freema.
I'm grateful for the warm weather, and I'm also grateful that I was able to celebrate Debbie's birthday with her. And we went out, and it was very lovely. For 2 days, we've been going out. And tomorrow, I'm lucky I'm going out with other friends. And I'm just very grateful that I'm able to get up and do all these things. Thank you.
Thanks. We've had so much flowing into our chat. You can look and I'll quickly sum up for health for the weekend. Teddy and Durley became grandparents. Mazel tov. Raphael was born last Saturday to your daughter-in-law Mabel and son Sam. Sending love to you, and mazel tov for that new addition to your family. Judith, a good report from the doctor today. Gail and Bob, warmer weather, good friends, wonderful yoga students. Karen, grateful that her daughter just passed her second licensing test for a job as a social worker. Nathan, good report from the dentist, just needs to have the filling touched up. Amazing. So much going on this week to be grateful for. Anybody else have anything that you would like to share out loud? There's lots of mazel tovs also rolling into the comments. Hazel.
Today I reconnected by phone with somebody I haven't seen for about 35 years, and it was very nice to catch up.
Thanks.
We hope that this is a new beginning.
Well, for all of our blessings we share in gratitude. Someone else. Oh no, I'm coming through Noni on your screen. Hold on, I'm going to mute you for a second. Sorry for the echo, everybody. So we'll say Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lechodot. And of course, one thing that we are grateful for is the striving towards peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amecha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amecha tasim leolam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom hashalom Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
We take time for our own silent prayers.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, be acceptable to you. Adonai, my rock, and my redeemer. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.
Amen. My friends, this week we are reading from the Torah portion, Tetzaveh. And we continue from last week with detailed instructions of how to build the Mishkan, or the tabernacle. But this week, our focus shifts a little bit from all of the outside details of the structure of the tabernacle and gets more focused what happens inside. Specifically, the majority of our Torah portion this week is talking about the clothing or vestments that the priests were to wear inside the Mishkan. All of these elaborate ornamentations and decorations that people don't necessarily wear anymore today, but we do see modeled or echoed in the coverings on our Sifrei Torah and our Torah scrolls. But along with the many instructions for our priests, we get one commandment. You shall further instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil of beaten olives for lighting, for kindling lamps regularly. In Hebrew, for kindling lamps regularly, for ner tamid, you should bring this olive oil for lighting of the ner tamid, of the eternal light. Now, many of us who have been in a synagogue before can picture that one constantly burning flame or lit light housed above the bima and the ark. Now, when I was growing up, one of the questions was, well, how does it always stay lit? Now we know as we get older that, maybe a bulb burns out and someone quickly changes it. So there are eyes on it to continually keep it kindled. But for our priests, without electricity, this was a much bigger task to constantly be kindling and looking after the light and the flame of the Ner Tamid. Aaron and his sons in this portion set up in the tent of meeting outside the curtain, which is over the Ark of the Pact, and they make sure that the light is burning from evening to morning. The text tells us it shall be a dew from the Israelites for all times throughout the ages. A dew from the Israelites for all time. Ner Tamid, a light ever burning. I'm curious, when you think about our Ner Tamid, and I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of a visualization of picturing either our B'ShERT sanctuary or any other sanctuary, zooming in the middle, looking up to that Ner Tamid. And I want to ask, what does the Ner Tamid make you think of? What is the message of the Ner Tamid? And this, I'm actually going to break the fourth wall and truly ask for responses here. So feel free, you can unmute or you can type in the chat. What is the meaning? What is the message of the Ner Tamid for you? Farina.
I think it means, I know for me personally, when I stand up there by the bima, and I just feel like warmth, like very, like, oh gosh, like really like warmth, like somebody's looking down at me. It feels to me like very holy. Like, I remember years ago I was standing and I almost, like, I started to like go back and forth, and not deliberately back and forth, but I felt like the spirit inside of me. And I think for me, it means like a holy, like, spirit. When you're up there, you're very close, like, to God, or just like something inside of you, like holiness. Am I saying it right?
They are your words. I could not say it. Sounded beautiful. So in our chat, we have a bunch of comments. So that God's love is eternal, that the divine spark is always within us. So two kind of different but similar factors. One, that there is always divine love, that we always have the divine within us. Our ongoing connection to generations past and into the future. Beautiful. Anybody else have anything that you think of that you wanted to share? Hazel.
It's actually, I don't think I ever attempted to verbalize it. And you've all done it beautifully. I mean, Frima, feeling the warmth, that spirit. But when I hear the phrase eternal light, I'm reminded of Sunday mornings all through my childhood of listening to a half-hour program from the Jewish Theological Seminary. And it would start with that quote, to light the pure olive oil. And then there was a melody that would come on. And each week there was a story, and those stories, I would cry every week. They were very moving, and it was so for me, the eternal light is, as someone just said, it's the whole bond of heritage. It's the light of Judaism that we want to keep burning, but I can't separate it from that quote and the melody that I would hear every week.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Oh, beautiful. So,
by the way, you used to be able to write and ask them for the script. And every once in a while I would do that and get the stories.
There's probably an archive somewhere.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much to everybody for sharing kind of different meanings of the Ner Tamid. I think one common spark in all of these descriptions, really has to do with this idea that of the divine presence, of constant divinity or presence, whether that's in our sanctuaries, within us, in the world at large. Now, in our Torah portion, it's unclear if the Ner Tamid is serving the same purpose of reminding us of the divinity. Because when we're introduced to the Ner Tamid, the first verse of Tetzaveh describes it not as something that God gives us, but rather as something that we give to God. It's a due from the Israelites for all time. The light in this case is not so much a symbol of God's presence, but it's kind of a prerequisite requirement. The question then becomes, why does God need this particular light? Does God need light? Does God need anything? So there's a midrash, a rabbinic story, where the rabbis say that maybe the light of the Ner Tamid is just as much for us as it is for God. This midrash says, instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil of beaten olives, not because I, God, need it, but so that you should give light to me just as I've given light to you. The rabbis compare this, and they say that this is compared to a blind man and the sighted man who are walking together. The sighted person says to their companion, I will guide you along the way. And when they arrived at their destination and came indoors, the sighted person asked the blind person to please kindle a light to benefit them, to benefit the sighted person. In this manner, the blind man would not be overwhelmed by his debt of gratitude to the sighted man and would recognize himself as capable of benefiting others. We all have times that we need help, whether we want to share our burdens or not. This midrash shows that receiving help or being dependent on another is not something to be looked down on. Rather, we should recognize that we all have dependencies. Some for guidance walking outside, others for light to see inside. And we have to remember that we're all capable of helping others, of being a source of light for them. Commenting on this midrash, one of my colleagues, Rabbi Beth Kalish, notes that it suggests we should not see our relationship with God only in one way, as meek humanity asking God for what we need. Instead, we should recognize that we have the power and responsibility to meet God's needs as well. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught that Judaism is not based in the question, are you there, God? But rather, where are you? Ayeka. This question that's first asked by God to Adam and Eve in the garden. Where are you? Not are you there? This is the mysterious paradox of biblical faith, Heschel writes. The Bible speaks not only of man's search for God, but also of God's search for man. It's as if God were unwilling to be alone, and God had chosen man to serve God. We have a lot of responsibilities in our lives, flames that we're asked to kindle continually. And sometimes in these times when things can feel too much, like there's so much going on, like we're being pulled in a million directions, may we picture the Ner Tamid. While we waver, its light never dims. The light reaches out, shining on us, asking, Ayeka, where are you? What's going on with you right now? What is happening in the innermost depths of your being? And it reminds us that we are in a partnership with the divine to kindle the light and to ever increase the light in our world. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be so. So we turn our thoughts now, thinking about some people who particularly are in need of light, the light of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit. I'll share names in our B'ShERT community on our Misha Beirach list this week, and then I will invite folks to share more names, either out loud or in our chat. So this week, our B'ShERT community is thinking of Jesse Sakharoff, Ira Weiss, Elaine Drucker, Allison Plummer, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Susan Sisler, Joellen Fox, Alan Freemer, Valerie Pace, George Landberg, Susan Bilecki, Dana Haitkin-Nelson, Arlene Rosenthal, Michael Luck, Barbara Weiner, Joan Lifshitz, Amy Juskowitz Soonseller, Deanna Roth, Arthur Derry, Jonathan Falkowski, Martha and Ed Vincent, Ingrid Grosso, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Vicky Lightnaker, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Gary Prezioso, Jeff Abel, Patricia Christensen, Monica Beyer, John Bile, Les Shanker, Irv Golden, Malka Rojo Bat Reina. I'll share also those names that have come in to our chat. Karen Eichel, Joel Edelstein, Mike Davis, Howard Mishkin, Carol Wigder, All Americans Still Abandoned in Afghanistan, NYPD, Michael Moore, Dave Stanger, Judith Korch, Barbara Unger, Howard Pileski, David Mouser, Hannah Paines, Jerry Jaffe, Les Shanker, Jerry Prezioso, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Kelly Quagliati, Merrill Kantrowitz, Steve Strauss, Karen Swass, Hillary Dellin, Jonathan Dash, Maureen Dash, Carolyn Dash, Naomi Feller, Arnold Abramowitz, Marilyn Abramowitz, Pat and Elid, Colella, Paul Markowitz, Delphine Wolf, Jeannie Osiello, Joyce Kantrowitz, Meryl Cantrew, Jackson and Tara Kushner, Sherry Jacobs, Carol and Stevie DePelt, David Gershon, Livana Tenon, Shelley Samet, Linda Kushner, Karen Kramer, Sylvia Silva, Jennifer Magoob, Elena Aram, Chanel Camabach, Jimmy Jenkins, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, St. Vincent, Jamaica, Barbados, Haiti, Israel, India, Afghanistan, Baby James Scarpula, Paul Markowitz, Nancy Kelly, Edwin Hernandez, Elliot Woofsey, Robert Trachtman, Ann Kelly. And for those who would like to unmute, also adding Sarah West Freema.
Yuval Bat Eti.
Thanks, Deanna.
Thank you.
Okay. Reverend David Cohen, Phyllis O'Neill, Martin Bennett, Kara Bionstock, Francina Mitchell Popowitz, Kathy's brother Gabby. Thank you.
Galen Bob.
Yes, Michelle Bracco, Lou Levinson.
Anybody else have any names to share? So with all of those names in our hearts, we join together, Misha Berach, wishing them a complete healing of mind, body, and spirit.
I'm going to add my brother-in-law, Tommy Donato. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe berach imotenu mekor habracha imotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Continue. Aleinu l'shabeach, rising in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latit gedula le'yotzeh bereshit, shehu notei shamayim ve'yosed aretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mimal, u'shchinatu zo begov hemeronim, u'Eloheinu einod, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'ema v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo, U'shemo echad.
We turn our thoughts now to loved ones whom we've lost in recent days and at this time in seasons past. I'll share names of those we've lost recently in our B'ShERT community and then invite our folks on Zoom to share names either aloud or in our chat. This week, our B'ShERT community is remembering Andrew Mazzella, Joyce Braziller, Linda Gilbert Schneider, Della Cohen, Fran Arnowitz, Selma Carl, Harold Carl, Emily Seff, Moshe Usher Reinitz, Huma Saber, Lila Bloomfield, John Carfeasy, Andy Glansman, Todd Zeitlin, John Previtt Jr., Augie Dorio, Janet Esposito, Kay Josephs, Arnold Block, Elizabeth Clark, Kyle McGee Sr., Ida Houston, Louisa Espute, Perry De La Touche, Ira Roth, Roberta Hyreth, George Liss, Reverend Claude Park Street, Sylvia Tishkovich, Ellen Bolofsky, Cindy Ritagliata, Dolores Weinberger, Suzanne Leknos, Shirley Kofker, Lillian Frost Ridgely, Thomas Marinin, Meg Goldate, Marguerite Romeo, John Young, Isadora Frost, Fred Perlman, Claire Kramer, Dorothea Schuring, Peter Brandenberger, Lloyd Ricketts, Ellie Heimlich, Sherry Burns, Terry Singer, Henry Kuhn, and Lily Zimmett. I'll share our yahrzeit list for this week, and I'll also share those names in the chat. Shirley Dash, Louise Stover, who died last week, Mark Halpern, brother of Lori Pandolfo, Linda's cousin Stanley Tenen, who passed away a week ago. Is there anyone who would like to share names out loud?
Tonight is actually the first yahrzeit of my stepfather, Robert Perlman, who passed away on February 11th, 2021.
Oh, wow.
Prima, yeah.
Okay. Jack Mandel and Betty Rubel. Thank you.
Yeah. Alan.
Detective Wilbert Mora, Detective Jason Rivera, Kenny McCrae.
Anybody else who would like to share name out
Yeah,
loud?
Robert Carlsberg.
We will continue holding all of those names that are shared. I think I see Ruth. Ruth, would you please unmute?
My mother, Hilda Steiner.
Thanks, Ruth.
Rabbi?
Alan. Yeah.
On the list, Joe Davis, Kathy Cassin's brother, and Jack Sakowitz. I think that's Elaine Drucker's father.
Continue with words of Mourner's Kaddish rising according to our custom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, ve'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, da'amiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'yimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Also add Naomi Harris to those list of names, the folks we are remembering this week. So, time for any community announcements. Does anyone have anything to share about upcoming events?
I believe that there is a Sunday evening membership committee event, a Valentine's wine tasting hosted by Emma Tattenbaum Fine, which is counter programming to the Super Bowl, a very interesting choice. So if you are not about football, but are all about romance and wine, come check it out. The link to register was in the weekly email.
Amazing. Yes. So you have a plethora of activities to choose from for a fun Sunday. Torah study continues weekly on Tuesdays. And of course, Shabbat morning tomorrow morning, starting off with B'Yachad, led by our very own Diane, and then Shabbat morning services at 11. Friends, we will close this morning words of
yoga.
Words of Ein Eloheinu. Gail, tell us. Gail, you tell us. Oh, I
Yes,
heard.
yoga is gentle yoga is on Monday afternoon.
Thank you so much. Yes, our congregants are just fabulous and lead so many wonderful things all during the week for us. So we will continue now singing Ein Eloheinu.
Ein Eloheinu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, mi Eloheinu, mi Kadonenu, mi Kemalkeinu, mi Kemoshienu. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.